Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you're all doing well. It is another Monday. They just keep coming. Can't get away from them. Um, yeah, so I just want to pop on, say hi. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Um, Mine was okay. I pretty much hung home. We were supposed to, well, my company that I work for had their holiday party on Saturday. But I opted not to go for a few reasons. One, COVID is kind of running through everyone right now. So being in a crowd, um, I didn't really want to chance it, but also I didn't want to be in a crowd. Um, my anxiety and stuff, I just not feeling it. But also, probably the biggest reason, um, everything just feels very different since COVID happened. As far as like the company I work for, they've become a bit more strict and kind of moving more towards like corporate. And it's just very different from how it's always been. The one thing I loved about this company, it was the exact opposite of a corporate company. Um, Very fun, great environment. No like toxic behaviors, bosses, nothing like that. It was always just a fun place to work, and there were many perks, and a lot of them they've done away with. Um, and it just, I don't know, I just didn't have it in me this year. Like I didn't want to go at all. Um, a lot of people from customer service actually didn't show up. Um, some of it had to do with the weather that we were having. And then the other part was it was in Massachusetts. We're in Rhode Island. So yeah, so I didn't go to that. I did, however, have to go to my kid's dad's house because it was his birthday last week. So we did like a cake for him, and the boys gave him, the card they got him and stuff like that. Um, but it ended up being quite the heated argument or conversation, I guess you could call it. Basically, um, last weekend when my son came home from his dad's house, he pulled me in his room and he was like, "Hey, I just want to apologize if I gave you an attitude on Christmas when you were helping me with my new phone." And now, backstory to it, I didn't really notice he had an attitude. I noticed he was getting frustrated because we couldn't sync his old phone to the new one because his old phone was so old. Um, so, it was frustrating because we kept having to put the Wi-Fi in, and like just we kept getting to the same spot and having to start over basically. So he was a little annoyed. He wasn't rude to me. He wasn't fresh to me. Um, but I guess his dad felt that he was and laid into him and basically called him a punk, and then started saying, "Oh, and what else do punks do? What do they vape and blah, blah, blah," and just started saying all this shit that is like not accurate at all. Like, it really pissed me off. So I wasn't going to bring anything up because I was like, that was their conversation. He's the dad. Like, he can have conversations where I don't need to be involved. However, he brought it up. And he was like, "Oh, did he tell you about our conversation?" And I said, "Yeah, you called him a punk. That was nice." And so he goes into this whole thing about how he's rude and he was a punk and that punks probably vape and he's a follower and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. He's not a follower. Okay. He is his own person. If he doesn't want to do something, he won't do it. He doesn't get peer pressured. Like, he is a lot like his father in that sense, where he knows who he is. He's confident with who he is. Um, and so we started going back and forth. And it's like, dude, you don't even know your kids, okay? You don't talk to them all week long. You don't bother with them. You don't text them. You don't call them. Nothing. You don't pick them up on Fridays. It is assumed that I'm going to bring them to his house, which I bring them to his house. And then 98% of the time, I pick them up on Sundays. Okay. So he has literally no responsibility when it comes to them. They go to his house, they hang in their room. Like he's totally like hands off, basically. And then to sit there and say my child is a follower, like it made my blood boil. And then so his brother's girlfriend was there and she jumped in and she was like, "You didn't really call him a punk." And he was like, "Yeah, I did." And she was like, "How could you say that?" So she was just as pissed as I was. And she was like going in on him. And she's like, "He's not a follower. He is like his own person." And then my kid's father's fiance was like, "Okay, let's just stop talking about this. Let's just stop." And it's like, no, this is a conversation between parents. Like, you don't get to tell us that we can't talk about it. Like, I don't give a fuck if you live here or not. Like, not doing that. So it was a very heated conversation where I was like, you know what? Let's just agree to disagree. I don't agree with how you talk to him. I don't agree with how you approached it. I don't agree with you calling our son names. Like, that's not okay. And if his mother was still alive, that would not have flown. Like, she would be pissed, but he would have listened to her. Where it's me, he thinks he's the better parent than me, so he doesn't listen to me. That's what it comes down to. He thinks he's grade A parent, like does everything. And then he starts saying, "Oh, well, and I've taken them to Universal and to Mystic and to blah, 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 blah." And it's like, why do you always have to name off things that you do or money that you've spent? Like, that's all he ever talks about is like money, things that have to do with money. And I was like, who gives a shit what you've done for them? They're your kids. You do things for them. Like that's how it goes. They don't owe you like their entire life because when they were 7, you took them to an aquarium. Like, give me a fucking break. So it was a very heated conversation. And I was finally like, let's just agree to disagree. Like, I think you're wrong 100%. And that's that. Whatever. So they were going out for drinks that night for his party. And he was like, "You're going, right?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going." He's like, "What do you mean you're not going? You're not coming out for drinks for my birthday?" I was like, "No, I'm not going out." I was like, "I got a headache," which I did have a headache, but I could have went still if I wanted to. But I was just like, I am so fucking done. Like, I didn't plan on going anyway because I've put distance between us, like me and them, for this reason. We just don't we don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And like it bothers me that he thinks he is like number one parent when he is so hands off and so far removed. It's unbelievable. Um, so like I don't know. Like it really pissed me off. So I've put distance because they don't reach out to me. They don't talk to me. They don't talk to the kids. Again, Fridays are assumed I'm going to bring them. So nobody reaches out. I always have to reach out and say, "Hey, are you going to be home? I'm going to bring them over after dinner." I always feed them before they go there because they never have fucking food in their house. They go shopping on Sundays. So they have food all week. But then by the time the kids get there, there's like fucking nothing for them to eat and they just do takeout. So yeah, see, I got a little worked up talking about it. It just pisses me off. Like just stop, please. So so that happened. So I ended up staying in Saturday night. It was nice. My son had his girlfriend come over. It was a nice night. I preferred being in for every possible reason that I just named off. Um, I was just happy, like me and my boyfriend hung out. We had a few beers. It was very nice. And yeah. So today I am like super anxious because my boss's boss's boss came back from vacation today. Um, my boss's boss is out on maternity leave, so my big boss is basically going to meet with me today, and I think she's going to let me know whether or not she approved my accommodation to basically work fully remote. But it's not till 4:30 this afternoon, and I am like super anxious about it. I really, really hope it's approved. I can't imagine why she wouldn't approve it. Um, my doctor's note clearly outlines why it has to be. And we've approved this before, pre-COVID, when we were all in office. We approved it for one of my previous agents to work fully remote. So I am very hopeful in that they approve it and I can just continue to work fully remote, because going in office is incredibly stressful and uncomfortable for me. Um, I have my anxiety meds that I can take. I can take 2 of them a day, but I don't know if that 2 is going to be enough if I have to go in office. So I meet with my psych doctor later this month. I believe I meet with her this month to discuss kind of where my meds are at that point and how I'm feeling. Um, so wish me luck. I can't imagine she would not approve it. So I'm keeping positive, um, and just kind of rolling with it. I have so I have agents in Denver. Um, and last week I met with my boss and he was kind of giving me a rundown of my team because he's been pretty much meeting with them and taking care of them while I was out for those 3 months. And he told me that one of my Denver agents has been lying about going in office and saying that she's in office. And then he checks with someone else that's actually in office and they're like, yeah, she's not here. So he never called her out on it. So she's been doing it this whole time. So now I have to be the bad guy, which I'm totally fine with being because don't fucking lie to me. Um, and I have to tell her, like, hey, you need to make sure you're in office when you say you are, because you've been lying about it, and we know that you've been lying about it. So you need to be in office, or you're going to get written up. Bottom line. Sorry, it's dry in here. So I don't start meeting with my team until next week anyway. So I slacked her and I was like, hey, what day are you going in next week? And she was like, Monday, unless it, Wednesday, unless it snows. And I said, well, you need to have a backup day. If it snows Wednesday, you have to be in office because we are checking with other people in the office to ensure that CS is going in when they say they're going in. So you need to be there. And she was like, oh, yeah, no, my backup days are Thursday and Friday. And I said, okay, just make sure, because if it shows that it's snowing Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, then you should plan to go in Monday or Tuesday. You need to go in office, bottom line. And she's like, yeah, no, totally. I've been going in. I'm like, you fucking liar. Like, and it pissed me off when my boss told me, oh, I haven't said anything to her yet. I'm like, why wouldn't you say something? You're just gonna let her do this? You're not gonna bring it up? Just gonna pretend? Like, is that what we're doing? Like, my boss, he's a cool guy, and like he just became my boss. Um, he's like a cool guy, but um he doesn't like confrontation. So like him approaching her about that is confrontation. He doesn't like it. So it's going to be interesting having him as a supervisor because like I want someone that is going to help guide me to like my next step. And he's like very hands off. And it's like, I'm going to need him to like work with me to figure out like my next steps and stuff like that. Cause I cannot stay in customer service. Um, my goal this year is to get out of customer service. I can't do it mentally anymore. It's not healthy. I can't handle dealing with the customers, the pissed off ones. Like I'm just not built the same way that I was years ago. I can't do it anymore. I've like reached my point. I've plateaued. I'm so done with the position. It's in itself, it's not challenging anymore. It's like the same old, which for some people it's like, oh, good. Like you're just doing the same thing every day. But it's like the anxiety I feel every day because I might have to deal with a frustrated customer is just intense. And it sounds stupid to people that don't have that issue or don't have anxieties or anything, but it's what I deal with. And it is very much, um, I have a physical response to it. And I don't know, I just can't do it. So my goal this year is to, um, get up and out of customer service, either move to the training team or possibly something with HR. Um, my boss was telling me like, was it early last year, maybe? That the design team manager was looking for a supervisor, which that wouldn't be as, like customer facing because it's the design team. They don't deal with the escalated customers. So I'm even considering that. Like I don't work with like Photoshop and Adobe, but like to manage them, I don't need to know that stuff. It's more about like how many tickets they're doing and shit like that. Um, so I'm even considering that because he doesn't have a supervisor still on that team. And for some reason now, so when I first started in customer service, I worked with this kid, Jacob. Jacob was gay and he had actually dated the design manager, who's now the design manager. They had dated for years and the design manager cheated on him. So when I started, that had just happened. And the design manager basically assumed everyone in CS was like on Jacob's side. So he's always been very weird with me, even though like I had just started, like I was friends with Jacob. We were coworkers, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't taking sides, but over the years we've clashed a lot because he is very opinionated. He's very pushy when it comes to like agents like putting in tickets. He pushes back. And it's like, no, your job is to say yes and make the changes. Like your job isn't to push back. So we've clashed a lot over the years. I've gone to my manager about him. I've talked to him directly, like, stop pushing back. Like, my agents are putting in tickets for you guys to fix files. That's your job. Your whole team's job is to do tickets for the customer, to fix their files, to move around their logos, like shit like that. Like, that's their job. So we've clashed, but for some reason, over the past like year or two, he's become nicer to me. And now he's in our management Slack room. And every day when I come in and I write good morning, he puts like a little emoji like hello, and it's, doing this. Um, so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like now, are we friends? Like, what's going on? And then yesterday, he friend requested me on Instagram. I was like, what's happening right now? Like, I've been with this company for 9 years. We've clashed for 9 years. And now all of a sudden he's like, hey, let's be friends, which is fine with me because if a position opens over there, he would be my boss. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm just kind of playing along with it. Like, I have nothing against the guy besides sometimes he's a dick to work with, but I know, my big boss, Doreen, has gone to him many times. Like, you need to say yes. When they send files over, it doesn't matter if it's the third time for the same customer, do it. Stop pushing back, do it. So it's just kind of interesting to see now, like all of a sudden, like he friend requested me. I was like, what the hell? But it's cool. I'm not against the guy. He's a nice guy. He just, we've clashed. So, so yeah, that was a lot of random shit. Um, but yeah, so 4:30 today, I will meet and I will update you guys tomorrow on how it went. Um, again, I don't see a reason that they would say no, since we work from home 4 days a week. Um, but yeah, so I hope you all are doing well. I will update you guys tomorrow when I hop on. I hope you have a great day. And hopefully where you are, it's not snowy and icy and shitty like it is here. Have a good one. Bye.